Hello, 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 good people. Hello, good people. I am Dr. Hollie Kelly, and this is the first Friday in 2019, January 4th, 2019. Um, wanted to end up the week with the question of who are you growing? Who are you purposely, intentionally pouring into? And I'm talking to those of us who have the privilege and the platform of leadership. Now, I happen to believe, um, like Dr. John Maxwell, that leadership is influence, period. Nothing more, nothing less. It's influence. And so, whether you have a title, whether you have a parking spot with your name on it, whether somebody gets to call you boss, whether or not you certify time cards, that is, it's not synonymous. If you have influence in the lives of others, you are in a role of leadership, and whether you choose to use it or not is just that, it's your choice. But my question to those of us who are walking in, stepping in, growing our own leadership, the question remains, who are you deliberately and intentionally growing? I saw this quote and I did not recall who said it. I read it somewhere, but it said, it's not about how many followers you have. That's not what's important. That's not what's impressive. It's not about the number of followers we have. Rather, it is how many people we are growing up. How many people are we growing up and grooming us? Hello, now I see some comments up there. Hey, Brian. Hey, Mr. Elliott. I think I saw Pat flip through too. Um, it's not so you can say, oh, look how many people are following me. Who are you grooming? Who's coming behind you? If you were to leave for any segment of time, is someone able to step in and run the show? Or does everything fall to pieces when you're not around? And this is not just in a business professional environment, in your family, on your teams, in your churches or synagogues. Who are you grooming? Who are you growing up deliberately? Brian, you rock. That's what I'm gonna say. You rock. and we better, if we're leaders, we better have some grit. So that's the question. If you cannot look around and see intentionally, with intentionality, deliberate intentionality, not somebody comes and asks you a question and you whip out an answer and that's the end of the relationship. Can you point to anyone, any body, any persons that you are deliberately pouring into? Even our children, even our grown children. Okay, so influence peddlers. I like that. So that's the question, and it in part came because at the beginning of the year I have some uh, Marines that were newly promoted, and so no one has to guess if they work with me. They never have to guess where they stand with me or what my expectations are. I make it very clear because in my position, I don't want you to guess. Well, I didn't know that's what you wanted. I didn't know that's what you expected. You will never be able to say that. Okay, so I deliberately call them in, especially, and it's periodic. But at the beginning of the year, because you need to know what my level of expectations are. If you were in a different position last month, last year, and you've been promoted, you've been elevated, I have a new set of expectations for you. And so some things do not need to be presumed. We get into murky, murky water. And again, for all who are thinking, well, I'm not working, and so, or, I'm a solopreneur and it's just me, this still applies because it impacts every area of your life. Any relationships that we have, where we have the gift and the responsibility, the privilege to lead, to influence others, we've got a responsibility to grow them up. Last year, I was going through an executive leadership program and I had to leave for 2 months. And well, I had been gone for the whole 9 months off and on, but for 2 months, I was absolutely gone. If my shops had fallen to pieces and went haywire and could get nothing done on time and everything was, that is an indictment on me. Just as it's an indictment on you if you cannot leave, cannot step away, cannot have an emergency, and everything continue to run smoothly. Someone else step up to the plate and not miss a beat. It's a responsibility that we have. And so I just wanted to ask that question and have you answer it. Who? Oh, well, they know. I teach little things all along. That's not deliberate. I'm talking about who. Intentional, with a deliberate intentionality. Are you grooming anyone? Which means you got to stay ahead of them. We got to grow ourselves. We have to grow ourselves to stay ahead, because we cannot give what we don't have. It's, you can fake the fun for a moment, and then, like the Wizard of Oz, people are going to be peeking behind that curtain to see there's not much there. We don't need to ever allow ourselves to be in that position. We never, ever need to put ourselves in that position. Stop faking it. Drop the facade and put the time in to grow, to learn, to read, so that you can stay ahead of others. If we don't know, I'm very sure others know that you don't know. So we don't need to fake it. We don't need to fake that thing. Go find out, because you can't take people where you have never been. You just, again, then we're pulling back the curtain and finding out that the Oz is just some scared person with a big mouth. Okay, so who are you? I'm not familiar with that rock song, Brian, but that's a good question. So that's all I wanted to leave with you. I want to have you ask and answer as we start this year out, as 2019 is just in its infancy. Are you making a deliberate effort to grow someone coming behind you? Grow a teammate, to ensure that you can step away and nothing falls apart. And that is in every area of your life. Every area that you touch, are you doing anything to bring someone up behind you? Possibly, I say to grow and go. Not to stick around because they're so good and it makes your life comfortable having them around, because they can, oh my goodness, so-and-so got it. Yep, they are. And then when they desire to leave and go elsewhere, we sort of do a sabotage routine, because that'll take us out of our comfort zone. That's raggedy business. Raggedy. Okay, so ask and answer that question. Who are you grooming? Who are you growing? Who's coming up behind you? Who are you being deliberate with at the beginning of the year? And if you can honestly say, no one, you've got time to change that. We have a responsibility to do so. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing. And until next time, not in the meantime, but until the next time, please take real good care of yourselves as we close out the first week in January 2019.